j'abandonnerai moi-même.
Believe me, I can.
Je ferai parvenir mes instructions. Avec ou de vive voix, peut-être par téléphone.
And she was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress. She also won Best Actress awards for and from the National Society of Film Critics, the New York Film Critics Circle, and the Los Angeles Film Critics Association.
Good evening, everyone. I am Jay LaPlante. I'm the director of the Miami Film Festival, and I welcome you to one of the greatest nights in our festival's 35-year history. Tonight we're honoring a film artist who has astonished us over 4 decades of amazing performances.
Welcome, Isabelle, to Miami. It's a beautiful city. It's actually my first time to Miami as well. I wanted to start off by just talking a little bit about cinema, and I mean, you've made so many films. Do you have a memory of your first, like what inspired you, your first cinematic moment? Is there a point when the cinema touched you for the very first time?
Yes, I do. I think it was My Fair Lady. That was the first time I saw a film with Audrey Hepburn.
In the cinema?
In Paris, with my parents. But I didn't see many films when I started being an actress myself. I'd seen very, very few films, actually.
And did you think you were going to go more into the theater or something else, or did you always, as an actor, know you wanted to act in film?
Oh, I don't think that's something I knew. I don't think that's something you know. I mean, until you actually do it, you don't really know it. No, I never thought it was going to happen to me. I'm still not sure, by the way, but yes, it did happen to me. There's
so many filmmakers you've worked with, and some that you've worked with many times. I think the most you've worked with was Claude Cherboff, was seven times. How do you choose your roles, and what makes you want to work with a specific director, and what's the process like for you? Well, first of all, they want to work with me, and so. Yes. And then there was no reason not to work with, most of the people actually that I've been working with. Most of them are really great filmmakers, and I think that the reason also why I work repeatedly with people like Claude Chabrol and Hanneke, is the fact that, especially let's say Claude Chabrol, for example, I think we shared exactly the same view on how to approach a character, and that is, not necessarily making that character appealing or sympathetic, but just watching the person quite normally on a human base. So sometimes nice, sometimes not so nice. Especially Violette Nozay, who killed her father, so not so nice, actually. But so this is really something we shared with Claude Chabrol and with many people that I've been working with, a non-idealizing way of seeing characters. So I thought we might warm up by doing a little bit of director speed dating. If I mention a director's name, you tell me the first thing that comes to mind. Do you feel like playing?
We try.
Okay. We'll start with François Ozon.
François Ozon, yeah. Well, we just saw an excerpt of 8 Women. The whole shoot was quite enchanting. Everybody thought it was going to be a disaster because you put 8 actresses together, and so everybody assumed that by the end of the film one was going to die, but no, or 2 maybe, or 3, or all of us. But actually it was nice and charming, and I remember that, by the way, this is when I was shooting 8 Women that I got Best Actress Award in Cannes for The Piano Teacher. And when I came back, they all opened the bottle of champagne for me, so they were really friendly, very nice people.
And that was a different role for you? Did you find anything? I mean, did you find that did that revive you, or did it sort of how did it to play a completely different character where that's so very serious and tight but so funny? I mean,
yes, but each character was like to be taken almost like a caricature, and we all had a little moment of truthfulness and authenticity when we were singing these songs, but it was very funny, and I was very happy to play this old, how do you say, spinster or something like this.
Spinster? Yeah, spinster.
Whatever it is. And that was really fun. It was more to be taken like a game, but I think Ozon is really talented. He's a very versatile kind of filmmaker, jumping from one genre to another, and he's really, really very gifted.
Shall we go on to another director?
Do we go to the 100 directors that I've been working with?
We could be here for a very long time. Let's move to Claire Denis.
Claire Denis, yes. I did this white material with Claire that we shot in Africa, in Cameroon, where Claire was born, and the origin of that film was. Initially, I was very much interested by this book by Doris Lessing. Doris Lessing's first book, The Grass is Singing, that she wrote amazingly when she was 27 years old. It's just a masterpiece, and I was really interested in that character. So I went to Claire and asked her if she would consider doing it. And then she thought about it, but she thought that the heroine from the book might be a little obsolete, given the fact that the situation has changed, and so she wanted to come up with a more aggressive and positive, I'm not sure, but a stronger type of a woman in this kind of similar circumstances, which, however, had changed from the time that Doris Lessing wrote that book. So that's how she came up with this much stronger woman fighting for her land, fighting for staying in that land, and sort of omitting completely the problematic that she could encounter in this country.
Another filmmaker you've worked with before and working with again, Anne Fontaine.
Anne, I'm about to work with Claire, with Anne again, and to Claire too, by the way, but eventually after Anne. And I'm going to do a new version of Snow White. I won't be Snow White, of course, but why not? Why not? Because it's a
you could.
It's a
well,
new
yeah, why
version.
not? You could be Snow White.
And you, Snow White, and I'll be the naughty, the silly queen. Yeah, but it's a very interesting new approach of Snow White. And so, but I did this other film with Anne, My Worst Nightmare, a comedy, very funny comedy. What was I playing? Running an art institution and meeting this man who came from a different planet that I was living on, and finally, of course, they ended up together. But that was quite. And then in the meantime, I did this other film with Anne called Marvin, where I play myself.
I love that actually. I
Yeah.
that film because you just walk into the room and start talking to someone, and you introduce yourself as Isabelle Huppert.
Yes, but it didn't really make any difference for me because I mean I don't think I play anybody else than myself in other roles anyway. So playing myself it might be even more different playing myself than not playing myself. I mean, you know what I mean.
So we'll take a little break from speed director dating, but you're so busy. You're always working. I mean,
No, I'm not always working. I'm not working now.
Well,
I'm
you're very lucky.
I'm not always working, no.
But it seems, at least
I'm
compared
working-
to maybe other actresses, you have like at least 4 films a year every year for the last few years. So I think it's quite extraordinary that you're able to find so many great roles. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I must be very nice. So that must be the reason. And very sweet.
If we go a little bit farther back, can you talk a little about your experience with the film Lulu?
Oh yes, Lulu, we saw a little excerpt. I was really moved to see this little...
With Maurice?
yeah, Maurice Piala. Yeah, Maurice was a major filmmaker. He made movies like no one as well. All great directors make movies by definition like no one else does, but Maurice was really, really, very, very special. He was able to create this sense of feel of life, sense of very, and it was sometimes difficult for him to capture these moments of pure life. He was obsessed with capturing something so real and so true. Because he was such an optimistic person, he was very dark and so he kept telling, unfortunately, you never get to see the best films because those happen before action and after cut. So that was very encouraging. So that's why he was trying, kind of abolishing all the normal rituals and try precisely to avoid saying action or cut and trying to... So the camera, as many scenes that we were doing with Gérard Depardieu, the camera would start rolling and we would see this little red light like you have on your camera, yes, hi. And so we would understand that the camera was rolling and gradually we would literally step into the scene, and so that was quite a wonderful feeling. Mm-hmm.
You've worked with many women filmmakers, so also like one that maybe is not as well known, she's also an actress, but Josiane Balasco.
Yes, with Josiane Balasco, I did a movie called Sac de Nœuds. It's not easy to translate, bag of sac de nœuds. To do a sac de nœuds, it's a very idiomatic expression in French. Un sac de nœuds, c'est something that you cannot solve. Comment on dit un sac de nœuds? Je sais pas.
The English title was all mixed up, I think.
A mix-up, yes. Or something like this. Yeah, it was very, very funny, very funny. There was Josiane at the time was more like a comedian, and she's a really good actress, and that was her first film. And Coluche was in that film. Coluche was was a comedian and also a great actor. He passed away a long time ago in a bicycle crash accident, and I did another film with him called My Best Friend's Wife. It was me. I was the wife. Yeah.
Well, I don't think we talked about Michael Hanneke, did we? That's a
No.
pretty, and the piano teacher is such a a role that has made a huge impact on your career, I think. And there's actually, a beautiful new Criterion Blu-ray you can get that just came out, and it's gorgeous. So what about Michael Hanneke? You've worked with him in a number of films, and you have a film that just came out as well.
Yes, we did. I did my fourth film with Michael called Happy End, which I think was released in this country recently. And I love the way it started with Michael Hanneke. It's because we started by not doing movies together, and so because he offered me to do another film called Funny Games. He did an American version of that film, which I literally dared not to do it because it was there was very, very little room for fiction and therefore for an actress work, and a wonderful German actress, Susanne Lothar, finally did it with her husband. But it was really scary when I read the script. But then there was a series of setbacks that, he offered me another film and then another, and anyway. So when he came with a piano teacher, we said it's the ultimate opportunity. Either we do it or it will never happen. And so I hardly read the script, by the way. And then when I was in the plane, I read the script and said, oh my God. So, yeah, sometimes I don't read the scripts because I thought, I'll read it later. I'm not obsessed by, but in this case, but it was too late because I was in the plane anyway, so I had, but then I never regretted it, of course.
Well, part of your brilliance is no matter how good the film is, you're always magnificent in every
Thank you.
film that you're in. I don't think, and I spent the last...
Can I just add something?
Yeah.
There was someone that we didn't talk about in our conversation, and that is Michael Cimino. And I cannot be in this country and be with you without speaking about Michael Cimino, who was a major filmmaker and a major encounter in my life as an actress.
Is there some story you'd like to tell about that? I mean, it was your first big Hollywood film, or at least that was a pretty big deal.
Well, the whole story from the very beginning was so amazing, so unusual. Unfortunately, down to the release, when the movie was so violently rejected, first here in this country and eventually in other countries too. And I think that was, in a way, a kind of wound that Michael Cimino never really made over from it. And so recently, over the past, let's say, 10 to 15 years, the movie was recognized again. And he was very happy to come to France to present the film a number of times in Lyon and in various places. That was a great joy for him. And when we were shooting the movie, we felt we were shooting something unique, extravagant, completely unusual. And but of course, we did not know that it was going to be, that historical failure. And but now it's everybody, I think, admits that it's just a masterpiece. Thank you.
Speaking of American filmmakers, what about, you worked with Curtis Hanson with a really great noir that I revisited recently.
Yeah, Curtis Hanson is also somebody I'm really proud that I've been working with. I did this film, The Bedroom Window, with him. And I think he was an amazing director too. And for me, oh my God, the movie with LA Confidential.
LA Confidential,
is
yes.
one of the greatest
Yeah.
film. Yeah, I saw.
David O. Russell.
David O. Russell is, and I'm quite happy and proud with all the American directors I've been working with. Michael Cimino, David O. Russell, Curtis Hanson, Hal Hartley. Not bad. Yeah. And David, yes, was I Heart Huckabees. Is a very unusual director too. Very, very personal. Very. Eventually, he made comedies, but with such quite hard subject. It's not easy to make a comedy out of this movie he did with Jennifer Lawrence. Oui, c'est ça. I really liked it. And for me, one of the best comedies I saw ever is David's second film, which is Flirting with Disaster. I love that film.
His first film was pretty good too, Spanking the Monkey, his first film.
And Spanking the Monkey was wonderful too, yeah.
Would you want to talk a little about your experience making a film called Milan Noir?
Yes.
By Ronald Chama?
I did this movie with Ronald Chama, which shot the movie in Milano, and it's a very interesting film, very, I would say, Antonionesque, with the kind of Antonioni atmosphere, it's a beautiful film. I'm not sure that a lot of people saw it here, but I'm happy that you mentioned it. He should do another one, certainly. Because the movie was quite strange and very, and it's an Italian film, but that's why I'm talking about Antonioni, because it's Antonioni who came up with this kind of atmosphere which were quite rare in the Italian cinema when Antonioni started. Very existential, let's say.
How about, we need to talk about Elle and Paul Verhoeven. And I don't know if this is true or not, but there was a quote that you called the Michelle LeBlanc, the character, a post-feminist heroine, and what your thoughts are on that character and what it means, and today, like how that relates to everything happening in the world.
I call her a post-feminine heroine because in a way, she it's like she integrated a lot of fights that have been not all fights have been won by far, by all means. But she doesn't want to be considered as a victim, and she's a very solitary person, and she wants to accomplish a certain idea of revenge, but she wants to do it by herself. So, in a way, yeah, she can do this because she has been maybe she understood that, you know, some previous fights have been won before, and so she has this ability and she's strengths to do it by herself. I'm not saying that all women would do the way she does, but that's certainly the path she takes.
And I don't know if we want to delve into the controversy in terms of the current movement of female actors and whatnot, but you've always been, I feel like you were an advancer of being a very powerful figure in films and in your life, and sort of were, you know, in advance of sort of the Me Too movement. You've been living that as far as being, you know, taking what you deserve and not being apologetic about it. So I don't know, do you have any feelings about that, or you want to just, should we talk about more filmmakers?
No, but it's pure intuition, you know. I mean, I was perfectly aware that that movie in particular, for example, was really, in a way, on the razor's edge, but I thought, yeah, the way the story was, you know, I never felt it was falling on the bad side, you know. So I had no problem exploring this very, very ambiguous and sort of very edgy story. Yeah. So
maybe I misheard you, but you said you've made your 4 Michael Hanneke films. That means, are you done with Michael Hanneke, or would you make another one with him?
Oh, I'm never done with anyone. I mean, unless, you know, so maybe he's done with me, I don't know. Shall we call him and ask him?
Yes. He's right. No, he's not here. So maybe we should talk a little about tonight's film. What led you to working with Bavo and the film Souvenir?
Well, it's not a first-time director, because Bavo did a movie before, but when it came to me with that script, I didn't know who he was, and eventually I saw his first film called The Path of the Dunes, I think, which was a really interesting film, and the script was really interesting. And then I met Bavo, and I was able just to see that he has a very strong aesthetic universe. The movie is more to be taken like a tale, and it was clear in the writing that it was very sweet on the surface, like a tale, but like a tale also quite a little edgy and dark underneath. And so I thought the movie was light, like a sweet, but a bit bitter, like with a little bit of pepper in it. So I thought it was really interesting.
There's so much that we could talk about, but I want to talk about a few more. Filmmakers, and then we're going to probably wrap so we can see the film. But we had a number of great filmmakers here at the festival. Yesterday, well, Paul Schrader just left, and he. I mentioned that you were coming, and his eyes lit up, and he was very excited until I told him that you know, your schedules weren't aligned to meet. But would you consider working with Paul?
Oh, certainly. He's a wonderful filmmaker. I had met him some years ago in New York, and absolutely. Of course, he's a great, great director, Paul Schrader, sure.
What about Jason Reitman?
Who?
Jason Reitman?
Yes, absolutely. All of them.
So I've been told that we need to get things moving along. Is there anything you would like to finish with as far as saying something to the audience and your fans here in Miami?
Well, I think they've been very, very, very patient, and thank you for listening to us. And I hope that you like this film, Souvenir. Yes, I hope.
It's very enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's a perfect film.
Thank you so much.
With.
Thank you
so
very
much, Isabelle. Thank you, audience.
Thank you, Carl. It's said that art is how we learn about ourselves, and in the presence of Isabelle Huppert's fearless performances, I've learned myself so much about the strength and vulnerability that's needed to be truly alive and truly human. And Isabelle Huppert is a gift to world cinema, and it is the great honor of the Miami Film Festival to be able to present her with our Precious Gem Award. She is a precious, precious gem in the world of cinema. Please, Isabelle.
Thank you. Wow. A precious gem in a gem place. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Stage. Thank you so much. It's a great honor. Thank you, Jay LaPlante, and thank you, Carl Spence, for giving me this very precious award for me tonight. It's a great honor for me being in Miami. This is my first time in Miami, not first time in Florida. Yeah, thank you. Come on. Thank you so much. What can I say? I'm really touched. Yeah, when I see all these little pieces of work, I say, oh, yeah, I did all this. Yeah. And thank you. So, yeah, thank you.